Hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you, giving you game 1 in a series between Fantaficition versus WFZ. We see WFZ spawning as the purple undead player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Fantaficition has spawned as the red undead player. This is a rare undead versus undead matchup here on Turtle Rock, and we are gonna have full cross spawns. Now, in this 1v1 matchup with Undead versus Undead, it's very interesting to see how these players play. One of the big advantages for Undead players is the Death Knight when going up against all the other races. The Death Coil acts as a heal and also as a nuke, but in an Undead versus Undead matchup, the Death Coil can only be used as a heal. That aside though, because of the unholy aura on the Undead Death Knight, most players still like to go for that undead hero, even though a Lich first is not unheard of. Here you go, Sea Turtle hatching quickly, gonna get taken down here. Rod and Necromancy ready to go. Most likely we'll be spawning 2 skeletal minions. There we are, as we are now seeing both players playing a rather passive creeping. Alright, let's take a look at the skeletal minions now going after the Sea Turtle hatchlings here. The ghouls going back to harvest more lumber, as the graveyard is now coming into play for Fantaficition. I would assume the same thing is already true for WFZ. You should be seeing some Crypt Fiends making their way out, and this game is going to be well underway. Now, one of the things I like about the Undead Mirror Match, besides the fact that it is not completely overdone, is that you start to see different strategies. In a typical Undead game, the Undead Death Knight often tries to harass his opponent to prevent him from leveling. And then later on at tier 2 with Crypt Fiends and the Lich, he then begins to start creeping. However, in an Undead vs Undead mirror match, both of the players are not gonna really try and do very much harassment at all. And because of that, because of the lack of harassment, you start to get away with earlier creeping on these Death Knights. We already see level 2 on the Death Knight here from Fantaficition. I would assume the same is true for WFZ or WFZ, depending on where you hail from, as we are looking at the skeletal minions and the Death Knights now looking for a bit of a charge. Ghouls are already in position. We'll be able to finish up all of these skeletal minions without any real problem. And what's interesting though is that Fantaficition has this extra Acolyte. Even if one Acolyte falls, same thing with WFZ, even if an Acolyte falls during this crucial upgrade period from Necropolis to Halls of the Dead, the Acolyte will just jump onto the gold mine, so it is just that much more difficult to try and stop any sort of, or do any real heavy source of harassment. Ogre Warrior gonna get taken down. What will it be? Gloves of Haste, a very nice item on Fantafiction's Death Knight. Meanwhile, off to the north, you see the Death Knight here has picked up a Ring of Protection +2, an item that is rather helpful since the Death Knight is generally the strongest and weakest link in the Undead army. The fact that he can keep all of the other units around him healed means that he is the crucial point, but because he is such a big link in the Undead army, he is often focused down pretty early, and that's why you need a little bit of protection. With all that said though, you saw WFZ sell his Ring of Protection and pick up a Rod of Necromancy once more. Both players playing Creep Wars 2014, as they'd rather play against a computer against each other. Now, I think both players are just really looking to see who can get to tier 3 faster and whose build order is a little bit better. Slaughterhouse now coming into play for WFZ or WFZ. Meanwhile, Fantaficition has yet to go for that. Perhaps going to be going for a Lich first, maybe a bit of a faster Lich. No, the Lich already started by WFZ, so WFZ actually has a surprisingly large lead. Let's take a look at this. He is taking the Black Citadel by both players, so both players doing exactly that, except for the Lich is already about 1/3 of the way out for WFZ, while Fantaficition is a bit more behind. add on top of that, there is no Slaughterhouse from Fantafiction, and Fantafiction is about 45 seconds behind his opponent. That is going to make a very, very big deal in the upcoming fight, but I think Fantafiction knows that he is a bit behind, and as long as he doesn't try to attack during this time, he should be fine. By the time the Obsidian statues and the Lich makes their way down the field to Fantafiction's base, Fantafiction should have enough units out here. As you can see, the Gargantuan Sea Turtle sitting at 368 hit points, 322, and both of them just trying to, oh wow, nicely done, as we see Fantafiction getting a little bit of that experience there. Both heroes sitting at level 3. Let's take a look at this first Obsidian statue already out on the field, and the Lich is already out on the field. Meanwhile, Lich just now getting started as the Slaughterhouse is coming into play. This is going to be bad news, as the Black Citadel will be done upgrading here in just a moment. I'm not quite sure how exactly WFZ got that much further ahead, as we're looking at the Crypt Fiends now doing a little bit of a battle here. The Death Knight in position, the Gargantuan Sea Turtle going after the Obsidian statue, and the Obsidian statue taking a little bit of damage there, but not really much to write home about. Now, is the Death Knight going to be able to stop his opponent or stop his opponent's Death Knight from coming in? There's a good Death Coil there on the lead Crypt Fiend to make sure that it doesn't get taken down. And oh, there is the Potion of Greater Mana. Fantafiction getting a little bit of an advantage in terms of items, now having 2 potions of Greater Mana, as WFZ now picks up a Dark Ranger. This is going to be a very big deal here, as the Dark Ranger just following things up. Lich now getting up to level 2. And what is going to be happening next? Obsidian statues are already out. Obsidian statues, I do not believe, have been started by Fantafiction, as the supply count is now 46 over 50 for WFZ. Fantafiction sitting at 37 over 50. Fantafiction does have a little bit of a hero level advantage on the Death Knight, but that's all he really has going for him. The Death Knight still wandering around here. Could he be launching Death Coils to take down some of these units? I do believe so. And oh, a long distance steal there, as the Death Knight was so concerned about losing the Gargantuan Sea Turtle that he did not notice that he was about to lose the Giant Sea Turtle creep camp. Death Knight still sitting at about 4.25 level in terms of total overall experience, as we are now already at level 2 on the Lich. Level 2 Lich, level 4 Death Knight, and wait, level 1 Dark Ranger for Fantafiction. Meanwhile, level 3 Death Knight coming in from WFZ. So in terms of heroes now, Fantafiction has a little bit of a lead, and if he can actually squeeze out more units, that would be very, very impressive. 46 over 50 supply. We see 1 Obsidian statue here. Dark Rangers, very good with silence. And now the skeletal minions, which were so viable and strong in the early portion of the game, may come back to haunt you when destroyers are added. You can see destroyers can cause a little bit of problems because of these skeletal minions. They just get devoured so quickly and can get taken down. Death Knight going after the units here. You can see low hit point Crypt Fiend now backing off again. Frost Nova now on to Fantafiction's Crypt Fiend, but Crypt Fiend able to escape. Oh no, does not escape, gets choked up on an Abomination instead, as we are now looking to finish up this fight. Units are just running every which way, as WFZ loses another Crypt Fiend, as the Dark Ranger now forced to back off. That -5 armor really taking a toll, as the Lich needs a potion of invulnerability to avoid certain death, as the Dark Ranger now down to 25 hit points may get taken down. And no, does not get taken down, as the Death Knight was a little bit too slow. Dark Ranger decides to give up the chase. Meanwhile, the Death Knight and the Lich are still in position here, as WFZ is in a little bit of a retreat. Fantafiction looking very strong, as we see, I believe that was a Dark Ritual. There's a Death Coil on that. I guess that Abomination wasn't full hit points already, as he is now backing away. For a moment, that Abomination looked like it was on full hit points, but that could not be the case. As we are now looking at the Lich and the Death Knight, with the Dark Ranger looking to clear out this perhaps orange Gargantuan Sea Turtle creep camp. Alright, Fantaficition now looking to take this top right-hand side of the map expansion. Fantafiction is already sitting at a level 4 Death Knight. May be hoping for a level 3 Lich or even a level 2 Dark Ranger, but I don't think it will come down to that as the Ogre Lord does fall. Oh, Tome of Experience giving Lich level 3 now. Dark Ranger, if it actually creeped out this creep camp all by herself, should guarantee level 2, but it may not even matter. Yes, does get to level 2 once more, and that was a very big book of experience to get to 571 experience for that Lich. Crypt Fiend now making its way off to the north. Dark Ranger is in position. Are we going to perhaps see some skeletal minions as the Death Knight makes its way in to finish off these units? WFZ in a bit of trouble, needs to retreat, and retreat he does, heading back home and now having a bit of home field advantage, except for Fantafiction does regenerate hit points even when on your opponent's Blight. Death Knight, Dark Ranger falls at level 1, or level 2, excuse me, as the units are still battling it out here, and the Death Knight of Fantafiction just really pressing forward, and there's a reveal. There goes another Crypt Fiend, as the Abomination now in a little bit of trouble. Crypt Fiend's taking a lot of damage. There goes another. As the Death Knight still wandering around off inside here. Alright, the Fantafiction and WFZ, both of them very, very strong. But this may not end up working out well, as Fantafiction still working to really defend his, Fantafiction really working to just push inside his opponent's base, but WFZ is not going to allow any of it. The supply count's up to 39 over 60 for WFZ. Meanwhile, 39 over 60 compared to 48 over 70, and you would think that Fantafiction's army would just be walking all over his opponent right now, and with a very low hit point Death Knight, that may eventually be the case, as that Death Knight needs to heal up tremendously. Alright, Death Knight now ready to go. You can see the Death Knight sitting at 380 hit points. Destroyers are up in the air, both sides attempting to do what they do best, trying to just kill the rest of these units here, but this is just not looking too good, as a Destroyer gets taken down, giving a level 3 on the Lich and almost as much experience as the primary hero of WFZ. Scroll of Town Portal now being used to try and hide inside the base, but I do not believe that is going to work, as WFZ slowly crawls out here. This is not looking good at all, as we now see the Crypt Fiend still pressuring here. Death Knight seen at level 4 by Fantafiction. Fantafiction, if it can get to level 5, would have a huge level advantage at this point, and would be able to essentially trade much better at this point, as a 600 hit point heal is 50% better than a 40% or 400 hit point heal. All right, there you go. Destroyers now up in the air, as we see the Crypt Fiend now taken down. So far, both of them, both of the units, or both sides of their units, losing a lot of units, and both sides' army is losing a lot of units, and so far we still haven't seen a clear winner in this fight. We're 15 minutes into this game, and still both sides still really digging their heels really deep. However, Fantafiction does have a tremendous experience lead over WFZ. Even WFZ had a larger army, more of almost everything that I can imagine. And I believe this will be the GG here in just a second. Yes, level 4 now on the Lich, level 3 on the Dark Ranger, as WFZ says GG. Game 1 goes to Fantafiction. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.